Our first presenter is Dr. Ahmed Fauzi, Faculty of Islamic Development Management, Sultan Sharif Ali Islamic University, Brunei, and he will talk about concept of Islamic leadership in Naqib al-Attas philosophy.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونشكره ونستعينه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. Thanks for this very important international conference. Yeah, I think am I allowed to share the PowerPoint? Anyway, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My topic is concept of. Oh, I'm not sure whether this thing is sharing or not, but if not, the topic I'm going to deliver today is concept of leadership in Sayyid Naqib Muhammad al-Attas philosophy. From looking at it, when we look into this one, we can see that we have two areas. The first part is concept of Islamic leadership and Muhammad Naqib al-Attas himself. So by looking into this topic, so in order to do justice to it, it's better we know who is Naqib al-Attas. So Naqib al-Attas, he is, his full name is Muhammad Sayyid Muhammad Naqib bin Ali bin Abdullah bin Muhsin bin al-Attas. He is a philosopher, a Malaysian philosopher, and is a very important person in Malaysia, very well known. So his family, by having the name Sayyid, it means that they have a link to Ahl al-Bayt. So in other words, his family, they were migrated from Hadramaut, from Yemen, into Java in Indonesia. So then he was born in Indonesia in September 5, 1931, in a place called Bogor in Java. So he started his education under his father. So, and then later he started Western education in Ingi Primary School, and that is in Johor, Malaysia. That is between 1936 to 1941. After that, he went back to Java again in Indonesia, and he enrolled in a school called Madrasat Al-Hurwat Al-Wuthqa. So, and that was between 1941 to 1945. So Naqib al-Attas also joined English College in Johor. So after he graduated from Hurwat al-Wuthqa, so he joined back English College in Johor. That was a year later, and he graduated there in 1951. So a year after that, he joined Royal Military Academy in Scotland and in England. So that was between 1952 and 1955. So, and he has his master's degree from Michigan University in Canada with distinction in 1962, and subsequently he has his PhD in 1965. So, in University of London, specifically in School of Oriental and Africa Studies. By this, Naqib al-Attas became one of the vanguard, or one of the pioneer of the people that have the PhD among the Malaysian. So he is a prolific writer. He writes a lot of books, and some of his books or some of his works is Islam and secularism. This Islam and secularism has been translated into many languages, into Turkish language, into Arabic language, and many other languages of the world. And he has another book also called Prolegomena. So from this one, then Islam and concept of religion. So then he and his very notable disciple, Professor Wan Dahoud, they also have a book together called The Model of Leadership. So this is brief about his words, and he has this leadership role which he took before his retirement. As I mentioned, that he graduated in 1965. So in 1965, when he returned back to Malaysia, he became the head of division of literature in University of Malaya. So that was 1955 to 1965, sorry, to 1967. So a year later, that's what 1968, he became the Dean of Faculty of Art in the same university. And in these positions, he celebrated a lot of leadership qualities, which people can emulate from there. So in 1973, he was a founder and a director of Institute of Malay Language and Literature. Now, it's not in University of Malaya, but in National University of Malaysia, which they call University Kebangsaan Malaysia, so UKM. Officially, in 1987, he established a very important institution in this region, which they call International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, so which was established in Damansara and then later in Jalan Duta in Malaysia. So he was the director, and from there, he was the first person to hold what they call the chair of Malay language. So, and that one is also between 1970 to 1984. So, and between 1987, when he founded this huge, big institution, ISTAC, was there as a director for many years. So from there, this is where he demonstrated, practiced the role of leader himself. So his works and his leadership role also was recognized internationally. So he was honored with and given the Fellow of Imperial Iranian Academy of Philosophy in 1975. So a year later, that was 1976, he became a principal consultant to the World Islam Festival in London, Britain. So later on, he became the chairperson of a committee of aim and definition of Islamic education in the first ever World Conference of Islamic Education, which was organized in Mecca for the first time in history. So Professor Nakib Al-Attaz, he was a visiting professor of Islamics at Temple University in USA. So, and in 2020, because of his role, there was an international symposium which was organized on him, and the title of symposium is International Symposium on Sayyid Muhammad Nakib Al-Attaz, Philosophical and Civilizational Dimension. And this one was staged by UTM in Malaysia. Having mentioned its background, its birth, and its education background, and some of the role. So the second part of the, because of the time, the second part of the topic is the concept of leadership in him. So in his works. So we have already mentioned how he personally demonstrated what he believed to be the leadership or the leadership role which he occupied. So now the concept in his philosophy, as I said, as a philosopher, he was one of the people who believe in Islamization of knowledge, and then his own philosophy was based on Islamic worldview, so on Quran and Sunnah, And from the Quran, he has one of the pillars that he lied on is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bala isti'adat wal basmala. وَإِذِ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلُ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً قَالُوا وَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا. He believed that every human being is Khalifa, so every human being is a leader. And based on the Sunnah, where Rasul says, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعِي وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. These are the principal pillar which philosophy of leadership from Atas was based on. So he believed that every person is Khalifa and everybody has the role to play. And then this role, you will be asked about how you play it on the day of reckoning. Then he and his most popular disciple, which has already mentioned before, so they form what they call ICIF leadership competency model. And this model is basically based on Islamic worldview. So from this thing, it has what they call 4 cardinal virtues. From this model which he made, he called it 4 cardinal virtues. And these virtues, he said that from these 4, there are others that emanate from these 4. The first one is wisdom. He believed that every human being that becomes a leader, that is an effective leader, must have the wisdom, al-hikmah. So, and then he believed that he or she must have the courage, as-suja'a, and then temperance, Irfan, and 4th one is adala. So this is 4 cardinal things which the Kibalatas mentioned that at least a very important and very leader must possess. From this, he must have what they call Qudat Nazar. Qudat Nazar means something to see beyond, That is what they call foresight. So he believed that he must have the foresight and he must have some of other qualities which he reckoned. So then he believed that a person must be educated. So he called it education must be the leader, where he said it must be a man of adab. The adab is one of the concepts which is very important in Atta's philosophy. So he mentioned that when there is loss of adab, that is where the things started to go wrong. And leadership problem is associated with the lack of proper education, which he calls loss of adab. I will mention that one briefly also when I have the other side. The other side of it, he said, after having 4, which is very important, there are 4. If any leader has one of these 4, so the leadership will be mess. So he said that these 4, you call it root 5s, destructive to leadership. The first one, you call it lying, okay, breaking promise. That one is based on hadith, which says that ayatul munafiq thalatha, idha hadatha kadhiba, wa idha wa'ada akhlafa, wa idha utumina khana. Okay. The second one is slander, which is fitna. The 4th one is hasad. And the 3rd one is hasad, envy, while the 4th one is bukhlu. He believed that from these 5 roots, the others also emanate. So then, one of the things which he mentioned also, which is very important to note, is that he said that the confusion of error. So this confusion and error, so which he called loss of adab, is what leads to the rise of or the selection of false leader. And when false leader is there, so they will corrupt. And then this one will lead to what they call destroy and corrupt of the society. And this is what somebody already mentioned, that hadith also this morning, whereby it said that and then the companion asked, oh, كيف إضاعتها؟ وقال إذا أسند الأمر إلى غير آله فانتظر الساعة. When the first leader are emerged, definitely all those first leaders will corrupt the situation. Okay. The summary and conclusion. The paper or the talk, it talks about the leadership and how it can be seen from Malaysian philosopher Sayyid Muhammad Naqib Al-Attaz, so the founder of a stack institution. It shed the light on the biography, birth, education, and its life experience. Sayyid Naqib Al-Attaz believed that the leadership is necessary and it is amana. So, and this amana, which Almighty Allah bestow on human being, and which he or she will be asked about it in the day of reckoning. He suggests that leadership or the leader must be based on what he called 4 cardinal virtues, and which are wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. While 4 other virtues, which are destruction, they are lying, backbiting, breaking of promise, and betraying the trust, slander, envy, and avarice. So the paper also elaborate what Al-Attaz called cognitive, emotive, executive competency, and which are all meaningful for the leader. So all in all, this is what Al-Attaz believe, that a good leader must possess all these 4, and he or she must go away from the other 4. So, and then he believe that a leader is something that is learned, because there is a word that is a leader being born, a born leader or a learned leader. But Al-Attaz believe that a person must be educated, and it must be the person that has knowledge. Though so with this, I think I will stop here. Thanks for the time. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about the Malaysian philosopher Sayyid Muhammad Naqib Al-Attaz, Hafizahullah. May Allah elongate his life, and may Almighty Allah give him sound health. So with this, I give my thanks also to the Riphah International University. So shukran jazilan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.